Jump down to where is routes? Just ride. Yeah, beach loop will do. Well, this guy's slipstream quickly. Oh,
Right, howdy guys. Welcome to the KISS 100 race where we live stream this across on
I don't even
Twitch.
know who's in this race yet.
So you'll see, yeah, we're chopping in and out, a bit of an
There's
overlay.
2K.
There we go.
Join event with 5 seconds to spare.
Yeah, a bit of an overlay voiceover as well because I was a bit gassed at some point in this race. So we'll stop talking whenever I talk,
Well, it's taken a minute. Come on.
just like that. It was a bit of a funny start this race. You can see here
What? Okay, we're in.
we
Okay.
left it really late to join the race and we loaded in literally at the rollout, like quite literally. So we only just made it in. I think for 1 second more longer joining, we wouldn't have even been in the race. But anyway, that's all good. This race is pretty long. We're kind of going into it with very low expectations. We haven't really been training properly, but 100k is 100k, so it would suit me a little bit more than the punchy stuff on Zwift no matter what. So we start out pretty hard just to get our HR up. Couple riders in here to note is Nathan Guerrera's in here. He's quite talented, very good at mountain biking he is. I know him IRL as well, good guy. And then we
Bit of
got
a bigger group this week.
yeah, as I called out, it's quite a big
It's
group
good
this
to
week.
see.
And we also got Emmerich from Australia in here. I raced him a couple times already in this very race. And I believe the Swedish rider, that Lapajun from Swedish Zwifters, is pretty talented. I think he does like that ZRL series or something like that. So definitely a much more leveled up field, you could say. But anyway, like I said, we're coming into this with low expectations on ourselves, but it's a race, you know. At the end of the day, I like racing. So if I ever want to go better than I am, all I've got to do is enter a race and I'll write a bit about it, a bit out of my skin. Anyway, we'll jump a little bit all around in this race. We'll try and cut out a bit of the boring bits and catch you guys up as we go.
Okay. So these two are the strongest two. They're pushing it over every climb at the moment. But it's a bit early to be doing that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, so we're over the first little hurdle of the race here, and yeah, we had the El Oz and the Chinese rider there really surge the pace over the top and into the descent, which hurt us a bit. Anyway, we'll jump a bit more forward, about 4k
Let
in
him go
now.
off solo. That'd be the best thing for this bunch to do.
You can hear me. Hot tip, if you're ever racing against me, if I'm making comments like this, it usually means I'm not doing too well. That's me crying out for a break to go up the road so the
I
peloton
don't
slows
hate
down.
two riders going, if I'm honest. That's okay too.
And
Doesn't look like the pack agrees though.
and yeah, that's another call from me. Again, it's one of those, I'm not intending to win the race, but I can't help but think about what I need to happen in the race to win the race, if that makes sense. I think it's one of those once a competitor, always a competitor things. But yeah, a lot of that's me just calling out what I want to happen because I'm after an easier race, basically. The old brain just wants the lazy stuff. But it's been pretty hard already. We're almost 6k in here. Quite a few attacks up that climb. Maybe not attacks, but just people wanting to really lift the pace, go quite, they're very much wanting a hard race pretty much all the way through, which is a bit unique. In this race, normally it's pretty easy the first 2 laps, and then like the final laps, it really surges. But yeah, this one was pretty hot from the start. I think normalized power towards the end was pretty much bang on 300 for like 2.5 hours of riding, which is, for someone not too fit, an awful lot. As already called out though, we're kind of watching the Swedish rider, the American rider Guerrera, and probably one of the Aussies, either El Oz or Emmerich. One of those two definitely pretty strong riders indeed. We're going to jump forward here once again and just hear what I have to say in the middle of this race as a bit of action happens.
Okay. We can settle in for a little while till we got to climb again, which is good. I don't feel bad though. My HR's low, which is either I'm buggered. I did run almost half a marathon yesterday. Or I just feel good. I do feel pretty good, if I'm honest. That wasn't too bad. 300 watts feels okay.
Just backing up all the excuses, another habit of mine. Getting the black book out for when I have to pull the cord maybe later.
I don't know who this bloke is, but he wants to go for everything, doesn't he? Just let him go solo. Like, a solo rider on Zwift has no chance. So let him have it.
Not too wrong
Obviously,
there.
wants to burn himself out. Let him burn himself out.
Again, that's me just dictating how I'd want the race to be, though. But it's not too wrong. You want one rider off the front in Zwift. It's the ideal situation. No one else will try and surge the pace, and he'll burn out because you have to ride so hard solo in Zwift to keep it away. But you can see here early on, it did split the pack a little bit here. Got the Japanese rider at the back there with the Chinese rider and the Aussie kind of just yo-yoing a little bit. We're stuck in the middle whilst these two riders, the South African Low and El Oz, try to split things from the front. But it doesn't look like anything's going to really happen here, if I'm honest. It's just a bit of that kind of early stuff in a bike race where everyone's a bit too fresh, trying to burn all the legs out. But yeah, not much really eventuates from this one. All right, back a bit more forward in the race. 14Ks almost ridden, 13 and a half. We're going down a descent using the little cheat code with having the steering or the Zwift bike to be able to steer around these corners as well, just to move up the peloton a bit.
I'm going to have to record at some point, maybe.
Yeah, sure you are, buddy. We know you too well.
Might get a bit too much.
Yeah, sure.
Worst case, we just get the hour like usual.
The old black book of excuses rears its ugly head once again. No, I'm actually feeling pretty good at this point.
It's not so much the efforts. I can follow them. It's how many times before my lights go out. I do have sugar water though, so potentially we can survive a few more than usual.
Oh yeah, the sugar water. That's something I'll talk about in just a moment. But yeah, look, at this point I'm feeling pretty confident.
Two big climbs. I say big. The first one's bigger than the second one. But we've got a hard climb coming up in a minute. Probably 3 minutes, 4 minutes away. It's not much of a rest, but that's another 5 minutes or so. And then it's the climb back up what we just come. So it's not much of a climb, but it's enough that if they do what they're doing, or have been doing, it'll be hard. If they ride it at 5 to 6 watts per kilo, that's hard in any language.
Yeah, doesn't matter how fit you are, 5 to 6 watts kilo does hurt a significant amount. We are coming into that climb here. We're just about to chime in with something.
This is the first big test.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks for repeating me, Kieran. But yeah, like I said earlier, we do have the sugar water. Now, sugar water is an interesting one. I didn't know about this when I was racing, and I really wish I did. It's all about just putting in the right carbs, which is what sugar is, just pure carbs that you need to burn for a required effort. I'm no scientist.
Goes over that green point up the top. Yeah, it's not like horribly long, but it's long enough.
I'll talk about the climb in a second, but yeah, I'm no scientist. I don't know the exact formula, but you're essentially just trying to put in the carbs as you're burning them or top up the engine, so to speak. It's like fueling as you go. And I run sugar, literally just sugar in a bidon for that. And it works great on Zwift. It works great on the bike. I've never been a big eater on the bike. I don't particularly like eating when I'm on the bike, if I'm honest. So it's great for that for me, for those reasons. But this climb that we're going up now is probably, we would say about a 5-minute effort at most. It's probably more like a 3-minute effort. You're never really dipping into the high fours, but it is mid to high threes.
Over this climb, hopefully in good shape. And I'll be fine to do another lap.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a mid to high threes for not too long of an effort, really. You occasionally dip into low fours. I'm sitting probably at the moment with an FTP around a 360 to 370 mark. I'm weighing around 75, 80 kilos, fluctuating between those two. So that's
it's a bit hard.
A pretty competitive FTP. It's nothing that's probably going to stand out to a lot of people, but it's enough that I can hang in and around these points. But what it means on climbs like this is, look, when I used to race, I like this stuff. And my current weight and my current fitness combined doesn't mean I suit this kind of stuff. So it's tough for me when I'm in these races to not resort to old habits, which you might see later on where I actually surge to the front. But one thing we haven't called out just yet is L Oz with a 14-second breakaway over the group currently. He finally did manage to get away.
It's
but
back on itself and then goes to the sprint point.
yeah, just calling out what the climb does here. Basically, just goes around itself up a little cylinder, and then ends at the sprint point is the end point of the climb. But yeah, he's surged his way off the front. I think you can see as well behind. So he's sitting on 4.2, 4.4 kind of watts per kilo. So he's not really dishing too much. And you've got the Swede that we called out earlier, one of the SCR riders, very active. So it's a interested group behind. We're surging a fair bit here, high fours now, so call me a liar now. We do have to dig a little bit on this climb, but I was feeling pretty good. My HR 172, pretty happy with how this first effort went. You might have heard me.
Oh man, we're almost at the top.
Yeah, there we go. You might have heard me. I was talking about potentially pulling the cord at an hour because, look, it's a good workout still, even with an hour. But at this point, we're looking pretty good. That's not a high HR for me. My max is like 214-ish. So all my zones are a bit higher
Just
than
watching
most
the people on the right, what numbers they've been hit. Because that kind of lets us predict the effort we need to do.
Yeah.
Right now, it's going to be hard.
I'll give a bit more context there. So on the right-hand side of this screen, you've got all the riders, and I'm essentially just watching the watts per kilogram numbers. Now, probably rough rule of thumb, most A graders are 65, 70 kilos.
That's pretty much the top there.
So they're putting out a little bit less in terms of watts to hit those numbers than I have to, but I can quickly figure that out. Like, I've been doing this long enough, I can quickly do the maths on the fly to know what numbers I need to hit.
A bit of sting there, but we got over it.
And yeah, there we go. Like we said, we're over the top of the climb. Looks like L Oz has a 10-second advantage now, but spoiler, he's going to come back. That's one rider against a pack, and it's a very interested pack at that to get it all back together. Let's jump forward and see. Is he back? Yep, he's back. He is still on the front though. He kept doing this the whole.
Steering's really delayed.
I do, like I mentioned, I do have the steering on the bike.
Now. Bizarre.
But yeah, he seemed to have wanted to ride the front an awful lot. We'll
right,
see
so
what
we
we
go
have to say
through
here.
this little mangrove section again, and we start the final climb of the lap, which is the easiest climb of the day. And then we move on to the second hardest climb. After that, we should be able to navigate both of those, and that'll get us to halfway. Hopefully we get over that climb again. And then, yeah, we're probably pretty much looking at least 2 laps ridden. An improvement on last week.
Yeah, you can see how I kind of talk myself into stuff. That's literally me kind of ticking off mental notes of what I want to do in this ride. Because I kind of went into it thinking I can do the full 100K. But I didn't want to outright think that, because then I would have been disappointed if I didn't do it. It's, I basically just trick my brain into doing the whole thing, even though it already knew it was going to. All right, this is us getting onto the second main climb now. It's much easier than the first one. I suppose the first one's really straight out of the gates, but okay, call this the third climb on the circuit. The third climb's probably the easiest. The second's probably the hardest. The first one is the steepest, but the shortest. So it's arguably in the middle, just about. You've got L Oz. Well, like I said, he was always very interested on the front, pushing pace. That's all he kind of did the whole time. But the thing is, right here, it's at 1-2%. There's still a draft effect. So, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that's quite a lot, 5 watts per kilo. That's quite a bit. But then at the same time, being only 1-2%, it's up at 3 now, sure. But that's only about a 300 to 340 effort that I need to sit in the wheels. So not too bad. It's still a lot, but it's nothing too crazy to have to deal with. All right, we're going to jump a bit more forward here, I think, into this climb and see if anything happens or kicks off. All right, and we are a little bit more further up the road. We're probably about halfway to the top of this climb. It's a longer effort, but it's
last kicker here.
Yeah, there we go. It's not nowhere near as much as an intense effort. And I said last kicker here, but look, it's 4%. Just maxing out at 5. I do in the top left, I will call it out. I'll dob myself in. My HR wasn't stable. It was definitely 178. I kind of roughly know my body. I know where I'm sitting. But for some reason, it just kept dropping out in the middle of this occasionally. But it gave enough of a reading that it was, legitimate. The game kicks you out now, which is actually a great feature. I didn't realize Zwift had introduced, but it can kick you out if your HR doesn't
Basically
seem
at the
right.
top now.
Well, that's a lie. We still have a little bit longer to go, but again, I always tell myself little tricks.
Around the next hairpin, that's it.
Yeah, little tricks to make things seem easier in these races. But not much really happened over this climb. That Eloz was interesting. Now you got Amarich on the front. I don't know whether they're teammates or not, those two. I also am an Aussie, if you're not aware, but I don't recognize neither of those names other than Amarich was in the KISS 100 race the weekend before, which is the first time I'd ever raced him. Both seem pretty strong. If I was honest, they kind of feel like B+ riders because they didn't really feature in the back half of this race. Not to kind of throw shade at them, but they probably don't fit in the B category. They should be in here. The Chinese riders attacking now. The two Aussies are sitting at high 6s. The Chinese rider's sitting at mid to high 7s. That's a big attack. But then you see he sits up very quickly. We counter very, very quickly because we see the two Swedes trying to get across. And the catch with the two Swedes is they ride for the same team. So, yeah, if you have one with you, you're okay. If you have none with you, time to step on it. Basically, that's a quick rule of thumb in these races. But yeah, it looks like everything kind of comes back together here. Nothing too crazy. We did put out some big numbers, though. 450 watts is nothing small. But yeah, look, 172 BPM on the clock is not outrageous for me. Like I mentioned, my top end when it comes to HR is around the 214 kind of side. So 174 for me. Look, let's say, HR, your max was 190, 170 for me is probably more 150 for you guys, basically, if that's kind of a relative comparison you want to think about, or 140 to 150. So yeah, 170 for me is never too horrible, if I'm honest. A couple little attacks here late into the lap, but we're about to wrap up the first lap and roll into what is the second hardest climb of the whole circuit. We'll jump forward into that now. Okay, and it is almost one lap completed. It's a bit of a false start finish banner here. It's actually around the next corner. You'll see it there, the glowing banner in the little top right there. So it's a bit of a scam, but there's no power-ups on offer either in this race. If you haven't watched a Zwift race before, typically there's power-ups. There's a whole list of that. Probably watch another race that I post later on. I'll do more of these, don't you worry, at different times. But yeah, there's power-ups, which don't factor in this one, so we're not going to go into it. But we go on a little bit of a stroll off the front here, being a bit antisocial. Oz was interested in crossing to us. I was kind of just interested in burning some matches, if I'm honest. There was no rhyme or reason to this attack. At this point in time, I was still contemplating, do I pull out after an hour? That's kind of my rough game plan with these races, is at least get to the first hour and, see after that. But yeah, you can see we're having a dig. Nathan himself has now gone to the front. That's always a nice thing, is when Nathan himself wants to chase you. That's good. I think the main thing though is Nathan knows me, and there was a couple times where I was pretty competitive in the Zwift scene, so he probably gets a little bit worried if I'm moving at the front. But Nathan, if you end up watching this, mate, I am not training whatsoever at the moment, so if you see me doing this, it might usually mean lights are about to go out for me. But yeah, look, we are actually handling it pretty well for a change. It's a bit of a spoiler alert, that's the sugar water. I'm just fueling properly. My body doesn't need too much training, it just needs the fuel to be able to do the efforts. I still need to be in shape, don't get me wrong, there's no shortcut to that. But yeah, we're going in pretty deep here. Nathan's almost split the pack behind. Looks like there is 3 riders with him and then a gap back to the 2 Swedes. Oh no, it looks like one of the Swedes has actually dropped completely. No, okay, so that whole group has caught him now, but we have managed to drop the Japanese rider and also one of the Swedes with this move. So, hey, it wasn't for nothing. There was apparently some method to my madness in this attack. I can tell you at the time I was not thinking that. Maybe instincts, it made sense what I was doing. Yeah, I don't know.
No catch.
There we go.
Yeah, going anywhere like that other than blowing up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm calling it out whilst I'm doing it. I'll be honest. Sometimes in bike racing, I've done moves like this instinctually and they are right. Looking at it right now, you have 65Ks to go, and the last time you rode 100K was probably 6 months ago. So what are you doing, buddy? Get back to that peloton. And he has been caught now by the Chinese rider, catching him there. Yeah, it looks like we're left with, what is that, 6 riders now in the front. One of the Swedes is chasing pretty hard behind. I don't think he'll get back from that position though. 14 seconds is quite a lot to have to close. We're going to jump forward now though, now that the pack is back together. We're going down this descent. You can see we've got Nathan with us. Things are split a little bit. We're going to drop a little wave to Nathan here. I think we're just searching for the wave emote. Oh dear, just playing a bit of games with him. All right, now this is a very interesting part. I think it's this part.
All right. So we need to sit here and hope that not many more of those surges happen, because they will hurt me. And we can get some of our energy back for the next climb, and we'll be okay. We just got to weather the climbs, really. Which is weird for me to say. I'm a climber, so normally I'm the one doing the damage on the climbs. Whereas today we're getting damage done to us without a sprint. Oh, we just want to make front group if we can. If not, as long as we can. 2 laps in here would be nice.
Should throw a big asterisk up on the screen. Was, not is, a climber. I definitely am not anymore, not with that body shape. Once upon a time I was super lean, not anymore. But yeah, there's an interesting thing coming up very, very soon. I think I'm going to jump forward to it. But there's a point in Zwift that I do not like. And there's a lot of nuances to the game, you could say. We're about to jump forward now. Are we? No, I think, but it is about to come up. You can see the Chinese rider just ahead of us, and you can see the Swede just ahead of him, and now a gap has opened. The Swede has attacked. The Chinese rider has not reacted. He's looking at me, basically. That's what he's doing, which would happen IRL, don't get me wrong. But the thing with Zwift is the draft effect is, I don't know, like something like 2.5x what it would be IRL. So at this point, I'm half thinking I might dip anyway. I don't know what I'll do. Instead, I'm going to wave at him. I don't know why. I'm being a dickhead, basically, for whatever reason. But yeah, looking at it, the gap is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he is only just now reacting. So he's lifted it to the high-ish 7s. Now, I've looked at his body on Zwift, whether he's adjusted his avatar or not, I'm not too sure, but I'm assuming very lightweight, looking at him and his avatar. So his high 7s is probably like 350 for me, so I don't have to do much. But I do want him to go so I can counter over the top of him. What's happened here? He's reacted high 13s. So I've gone, nah, I'm not going to drag you across, mate. I'm probably the weakest rider in this bunch. If I'm honest, I probably am. In terms of fitness, at least, I don't have it. But yeah, he's come over the top. Shout out to Steve as well, giving us a ride on there. Good old ex-colleague of mine. But yeah, it's not really going too well here. Things are in my head thinking, panic, maybe. But then I'm looking at my HR and I'm probably feeling my legs. A couple things adding together and I've gone, I've got a bit of confidence suddenly. I kind of think I could close that gap, even though if we look ahead, they're sitting on high 7s. We're still being a bit of a dickhead. I wish I just stopped doing this stuff, but hey, I am who I am. And yeah, not much is really happening here. I'm getting a bit worried because he's only sitting on 4s. So I think at this point I do full commit. I go, nah, okay, this is kind of the moment. 4 seconds, Nathan's on the front. He probably realizes I'm distance, probably wants to get rid of me. Fair enough. If he was in this position, I would be going even harder than him because that's a great chance to get rid of him. And I've kind of gone to this point, nah, I need to commit to some extent. I need it to remain in touching distance. I do see the Chinese rider reacting, so I'm a bit cagey about it. I think at this point, maybe he actually wants to work with me and maybe he'll commit, but he doesn't. So you can see that he drops back down into the white numbers. Sorry, not the white numbers, the grey numbers. The white numbers are the higher numbers. So at this point, I'm kind of back to the drawing board, looking at the seconds grow. We were down at 2 at one point in that little surge. We're back out to 3. Nathan's at the front doing 6.6. I'm quickly thinking, geez, this is going to hurt me a lot the longer I leave it. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Maybe he's hurting. I don't know at this point in time.
Okay.
I'm obviously getting frustrated. If I can still talk, it's usually a good sign. But yeah, I don't know exactly what he was thinking in all of this move, but there's 5 seconds now on the clock out to that front group. We're going to have to do something. I'm just watching, waiting. I have done one thing smart there. I left a bit of a gap, which was good. And now he's reacted. Perfect. This is kind of the ideal situation I was after to launch off him. And I didn't take it right away looking at it. I was a bit slow. I don't really have a top end. That's probably my main reason. But we move over to the left here. He has reacted, which is good. I would have known that he was hurting. And I've kind of used what I have at my disposal, which is not huge watts, but it's sustained watts. So I can sit 500 for at least 5 minutes, around about that. And I knew he wouldn't be able to react or hold that wheel. So that's the one thing I saw. The guy could spike, but he couldn't hold. So I've noted that down. I've taken it into my advantages there. We've got the gap down to around 2 seconds here. I am hurting. You can look at my face. You can confirm, not easy. We're reaching into the 190s almost in HR as well. 190 is serious business for me. That is okay. We're reaching VO2 time. But no, that worked out. You can see he's back there at 4 seconds. We've caught up. There's only 5 riders at the front now. We've got Eloz, we've got Guerrera, we've got Emmerich, and one of the Swedes. The Chinese rider looks like he does half commit here, but we're about to jump forward and you'll see he is no longer.
Right, if we go out the arse up here, we're going to quit because I really only want to get over the hour in anyway. If we make it over it, we'll at least go up the next climb and pretty much just keep going till we get spat maybe. Just depending how we feel, because I don't want to go too deep. But I'll probably have tomorrow off anyway. Off the bike and off running. Just have a rest.
More mind games on myself, like just trying to do little mental checkpoints. Get past this part, it means you're doing okay. You can go all the way. I've been doing a lot of running lately as well, so I was half thinking about that. And if you jump on my Strava, you'll see what I did the day before, but I did a big day on my feet. But I was feeling pretty good at this point. Going into this climb, I'd recovered. The HRs down at low 150s for me, which in a race situation is a good sign. I'm happy to be in the 150s. If I was 160 at this point, I'm probably throwing up question marks on myself. But we move into the hardest climb on the circuit once again for the second time. We've got Emmerich on the front, we've got Eloz sitting third wheel, and we've got Guerrera in the middle with the Swedish rider on the back of me. I start swerving around because I'm a little bit bored at this point, but we need to lock in. So this point on, the climb doesn't really ease up. It's about 3 to 4%. It ramps, I think, at the most to 7-ish. I could be wrong. But yeah, we got the Swede here now. So we are down to 4 riders. Is it? No, 5 riders at the front still. Okay. But yeah, this this lap in particular was quite interesting. I think it was one of those that just kind of seeped a little bit out of everybody's legs. Maybe Nathan's, maybe not. I kind of don't think it did anything to Nathan. I think he's just a cyborg. Sometimes he's so strong. But yeah, Emmerich was pulling quite hard on the front, which I kind of, like I said, I found that an interesting tactic from these two Aussies. I wasn't too sure what they were hoping to achieve from riding so hard so soon in the race. I mean, you can see riders like Nathan, I'd argue a little bit myself, at least I got a little bit of ability in my legs, but riders that know how to sniff out what to do in a race, we're not on the front so early. Yeah, we'll nip a little bit, we'll do a little bit of feel out what the group's doing, but you never be just found on the front dragging the group forward at high watts. Like, yeah, roll through, do low fours, sure, why not? But yeah, that was interesting to say the least. Like, tactically, the wrong move, I would say. And you'll see later on, but I think right now, in particular in this lap, is why I managed to get a somewhat decent result off pretty much no fitness. I think those two riders, though, are much fitter riders than me. They definitely probably should have finished higher than me, but just tactically speaking, they didn't do what you need to do to look after yourself, basically. I don't think I necessarily shirked from duties. That's a saying I used to love when I was racing. I think I had a little bit of time on the front, enough that I was active. You know, I've hit the front here once again. I'm going to do, like I said, the lowish fours, maybe mid fours.
It's pretty much the top.
There we go. But yeah, just enough to say, hey, I'm here. I can contribute. I'm not hurting. Don't even worry about guys. Just nipping and shaping the bunch.
Just setting
basically
a false tempo, really.
Yeah.
Because I like this tempo.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You can set the tempo you want at that point. But yeah, at the moment, we're feeling confident.
All right, last little kick.
We've got this last bit, like we said. But yeah, we're feeling pretty confident with how that climb went. Looking at my HR, we're sitting at 169. We're at mid threes to low threes. It's looking pretty good. You know, as good as this climb could have went, I think, for us at this point. Nathan's looking very good, I got to say.
All right, watch the typical Nathan attack into a descent move.
Okay, I've caught it myself.
And other than that, that's another climb down.
Yeah, Nathan loves attacking into a descent. He's just that kind of rider where he can get the pace up really quickly, and it will have. He knows Zwift very well. That's the one thing for him. Like me, we've ridden the platform quite a lot. So he knows how to use the platform to his advantage. Rather than it being Nathan, though, it's actually one of the Swedish riders having a bit of a dig here. He is attacking into the sprint point, but I don't think too much comes of it. I think we're going to jump forward in just a moment. But yeah, it was, look, all in all, summarize, it was a good climb. I was pretty happy with things.
Right. The only move that will happen is Nathan attacking into the descent, because it's what he likes to do.
I've raced Nathan too many times. I know his bag of tricks, but sometimes I'm just not strong enough to do anything about it.
Suffer over these next two climbs, and I get a break. Like we just went through. That break was good. So I know if I just squeeze it, get that each time, I'll be fine.
It's so funny listening to me justify things in the middle of a race. That's just mental checkpoints once again.
I'm going to bluff it. I'm not going to out sprint anyone, so there's no point in me working with riders clearly stronger than me.
Exactly. Just tactics once again. I know I'm the weakest in here fitness-wise, so I'm going to always be second wheel of any move.
Keep in the back of the mind as well, if I get distanced, it's like this. They switch off. So you could squirt at 300 to 400 and get back, maybe. Depends how much I crack. If I fully crack, I can't do anything.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting thoughts there in the middle of the race. We've hit the easiest climb of the circuit now, but I was kind of thinking, again, tactically, if someone was to attack really hard, say Nathan at this point, I'd probably let him go. I wasn't necessarily hurting, but I knew I had a limited amount of big surges left, maybe 2, max maybe 3 at this point. I'd burnt maybe 4 or 5 of my matches. And with low fitness for me, 7 to 8 is what I've got, big efforts in me. I've been sipping my sugar water quite a lot at this point. I think I was almost through all of it. I'd saved maybe 2 or 3 big sips for the final lap, I think, at this point. But yeah, look, we're on this final climb of the lap, and yeah, looking at what everyone's doing at this point, it wasn't kind of hard enough, is what I'm seeing. So you've got Nathan on the front doing what I typically do, which is just false tempo, basically. It's a lulling tempo. It'd probably hurt anyone in here that's not feeling the best, because anything he's having to sit probably high twos to low threes. That's your zone 2 to zone 3, like upper zone 2, low zone 3. That's enough to be switching from enough to be switching from carb stores to, I don't know what the scientific term is, but the other stores, the now you need to burn matches stores.
Need that.
I dropped my towel at this point, I think. Yeah, I did. I dropped my towel. And I was looking at how long to go. 40 Ks is too long to do without a towel. But yeah, this climb was interesting. Like I said, it wasn't hard enough, I think, is what I'm reading. It was too easy if riders like Nathan or myself move to the front and start setting that 4.4 to 4.56-ish kind of tempo. That's just that false tempo, though. Like, it's enough to raise it to people not going well enough. That's at least... I don't know, I'm voicing it now. I don't often think exactly like that in a race, but it's what I'm just instinctually doing.
It's 2 little kicks and then one final one a bit later on. Nothing too wild though.
Yeah, we're pretty much at the top of the climb now, but yeah, not much happened. Like I said, it was probably one of those I should have made the climb a little bit harder.
I reckon the next climb will be ridden pretty hard then, based off this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the final time that we go up that middle second hardest climb. We're jumping forward now. We're almost at the top.
All right. Exactly 3 climbs to go, really, from here. This climb again, the finish climb, or the start lap climb, and the horrible climb.
Good old horrible climb. Yeah, but like I said, that was a weird climb, if I'm honest.
I'll be honest, it looks like the group behind us is chasing much harder than we are at the front, pushing it.
Yeah, and that's another hint that I felt that the climb was probably too easy in the middle of the race. Like, you can see the Japanese rider, the Swedish rider, and the South African working pretty hard together to maybe get back.
I would like to see 75 before anything goes too wrong. I see 75, then 80 seems achievable. 20k to go has a nice ring to it, you know. You got the little psychic tricks, all the mental tactics you got to pull on yourself.
I was calling it out in the middle of the race. There you go.
Convince yourself to make it to the end.
Yeah, I knew what I was doing to myself. All right, we're moving on to the start lap climb, which, like I said, is kind of the middle hardest climb to the whole circuit. We attacked on it last lap. We moved to the front here to set a false tempo once again. I just want to keep the pack moving along, basically, at this point. I don't really want the pace to... Basically, what tends to happen in these KISS races is either the start was too hard and then the back half is too easy, or the start is too easy and the back half is too hard. I like a combo. I like the start to be hard and the back half to be hard, because kind of ability can come through. Arguably, so should fitness
at some point up here.
But yeah, anyway, that was one thing I kept thinking as the race got deeper and deeper, is when is Nathan going to go? He hadn't been active nearly as much as he typically is by this point. So I was starting to think, hey man, when are you going to have that big effort off the front? Yeah, we can hear me coughing and spluttering a bit now, but...
I think I can get over this one by squeezing it. A long rest. I might be able to make it over the middle one. And that's just about hang on.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we've only got 34k to go. I'm thinking finish.
Ooh.
We're going to jump forward once again, but yeah, when they were on this actual climb, we're thinking basically if someone was to sit on the front at 500 watts, I can do that. It's just one of my big matches, but I could afford to burn it knowing there's a big rest period. And then in my head, I don't really care how the final climb goes. It's just that middle climb. So maybe I could suffer enough to be front or second group. But you can see we're halfway up this climb already. And look, it was a little bit hard across the start finish line. I think I saw 440 or 450. Seen 590 now, 600. Am I attacking or is Nathan attacking? I think Nathan attacked a little bit. I'm not too sure what happened there. But yeah, overall, that was not the hardest climb, if I'm honest. So let's jump a lot further into this lap, our final lap. We've only got 33k to go now.
So it seems like Emmerich cracked, not fully, but just went a bit into his red on the climb up to the start finish. He was only on really distance, but the Swedish guy as well is a bit slow to react. Nathan's Nathan, and I definitely don't want to sprint him. Not that I don't know if I'm thinking about, a finish yet, but we'll see. You get into this position and it's hard not to at least consider it a bit.
All right, 23k to go now. We keep having this disconnection with the HR go on. It's some buggy with Zwift. They need to fix this part where the HR doesn't like connecting via Bluetooth or something.
I need that to come back, otherwise it's going to boot me.
It does come back, which is good. It looked, like I said, it was stable enough to give me a proper HR rating at the end, which is fine. But yeah, look, we've gone through that whole lap. You can see Nathan's a little bit off the front here. He's started to get active. The Swedish rider seems to be the strongest to react. I'm stuck with Eloz. Emmerich is swinging a little bit on the back by the looks of it, not really able to hold high watts there. Looks like his lights have gone out, actually. He's been gapped. That's him being detached from the group. Eloz, thanks to the ride on, Smiller. But yeah, Eloz is the rider who is scrambling on our wheel.
All right, boys. Nathan's counted again.
There we go. Hot tip as well. When you see +5 on the little counter down the bottom of the screen, that is when the draft effect is broken. So we're looking ahead here. And as well, when you're in the drops or when your rider sits up is when you're in the draft or not in the draft as well. So we just entered the draft then. So we've just kind of gone, well, no one's really reacting to Nathan properly. So I just want to get on terms with him before we hit a descent. And here we are, back at a descent. Nathan's off the front. The Swedish rider's attacking. We're stuck with Eloz. It's not looking too good, I would say, at this point. I don't know what I should have done at this point. Like, I'm looking back at it knowing what happens, so I won't put too much of a spoiler up. But I'm looking and thinking I could have done more here. I was probably thinking Eloz was strong enough to close that gap.
To go solo with Nathan.
Exactly. I was probably thinking Eloz was strong enough to close it at this point.
I'm not feeling fresh.
Yeah, but yeah.
He'll win, man. He's easily the strongest in here. One, he actually trains, which is a massive help in cycling.
Like I said, I'm live over on Twitch whilst I'm doing this and someone was cheering on Nathan. I knew for sure he was going to win. But yeah, we jump forward once again and you can see they're now 6 seconds up on us. I made a mistake of thinking Eloz would be able to get on terms. But that being said, I was being proactive. I knew there was a hard climb coming. I knew if I full committed to Nathan to get on that wheel, dragged Eloz across with me maybe, I might have gone lights out. So leave a comment if you think that was smart or not. I don't know. Nathan's crying for the Swedish guy to work with him. I think maybe looking back on this was a very smart move for me. I was under 20k to go. I kind of wanted to think about a podium finish. Now we're under 15k to go on that final climb. We have Eloz on the front pulling pretty hard, but you can see the gap is out to 17 seconds. So not much could have been done at this point. Looking at me there, my face, I don't feel fresh, but my HR
Get me over
is,
this climb, please.
it's still under control.
Wow. Interesting.
I don't know if that's me looking at my HR or the chat, I don't know. But yeah, something goes on here with Eloz. He kind of, I don't know what was going on with him. Was he hurting himself too much or not? But he gets gapped
Right, he
here.
seems to have cracked. Or maybe not, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, so he seems to crack, but then come back onto the power, then come off the power. I don't really know what he was doing, if he was just not liking me for whatever reason. Who knows? I don't know. But the gap is going out further and further to Nathan and the Swedish rider. We're starting to just think about third place, if I'm honest, at this point. So we're looking at our lows, looking at that gap grow bigger and bigger, thinking maybe do we commit? You can look at my face, thinking what happens if we commit, because I look like I'm about to crack already. Elo's managed to shut the gap down to 2 seconds. He's only
All right, we're almost
17,
at the top of this
16,
climb.
14,
One more little
11.
rise to go.
Yeah, he's about to get back on, basically. So we've made a decision here. Okay, well, Elos can come back. We can at least get a sit, maybe down a descent from a bigger rider, maybe a more powerful rider. I don't really know this guy, so I don't know what I can expect from him across the top of this climb. But the main thing is at least there's an ally for a descent, which Zwift rules are 2 is better than 1, 3 is better than 2, and so forth. Like, group effect is so strong in this game. All right, we're going to jump forward once again over the top of this climb and onto the descent.
Oh, we're almost
now,
under 10k.
which is, that's
Unfortunately, it finishes uphill.
that's a huge thing. Almost 10k to go. Things are looking very positive. You can
I
basically
don't
say,
know what this guy's doing. He wants to work with me or not, I have no idea.
yeah, you can basically say though it's almost finished at this point in my head, and I'll definitely make it to the finish line.
beach in Sydney. Don't really have one, man.
Chat was asking me about my favourite beach in Sydney, apparently. Weirdly here, Eloz just fully sits up. So he's sat on 0.0 watts. So he has, like I said, maybe he knows Emmerich. I think I noted that earlier on. I'm not. But I'm not too sure what goes on there. That was a bit weird. I thought he would have stayed with us, try to race for third. Maybe his game plan was to have Emmerich and himself beat me.
We'll try to get to the finish.
But yeah, I think at that point in the race, I did not care. I was just cooked and I wanted to finish the bike race. We had under 7k to go, with the majority of it being this uphill kind of false flatty bit of terrain, I guess. You got Nathan a minute 20 with the Swede a minute 20 up on the road of me. Both of them looks like they had worked pretty well. I don't think they had to ever worry about me or Emmerich or Eloz coming back at them. But you've got Emmerich and Eloz joining forces there. They definitely, what I'm watching there, I didn't notice this in the race, but Emmerich sat up. So they definitely had a plan of some form, I think, to try and catch me with Emmerich. Maybe they, like I said, when they go 3-4, maybe they just had it out for me and wanted to beat me. I don't know personally what was going on between them. It probably would have made more sense tactically if they did know each other to have one sit with me and just sit on me, and that would have pissed me off. Like, maybe I know me too well, but if a rider just sits on me, that pisses me off. I would have attacked them and blown up, and then they could have beaten me easily. I seem to be doing okay up this climb though. Looking at it, I'm sitting on 350, 370, my HR, or even 390 and 400 there. But my HR hasn't really gone too out of control. I think I've used all of my sugar, but at this point, we're actually closing the gap a bit to Nathan and the Swede. It's down to a minute 9 now, minute 8. But yeah, not much of a climb left. We're on the final bits of it here, the final steep bits, at least 7%. We've got 38 seconds, 37 seconds to the two behind us, two Aussies. But we do only have 5k to go, so it's good signs. Can we hold on?
All right, under 5k.
Looking at my HR,
That's good.
I think we can. All right, we're going to jump forward to this final. I think now you're under a k&a-half to go. We'll look up ahead. Looks like the Swede and Nathan are sprinting it out. They got a minute 50 roughly on me. Wonder who's going to win between them two. I'm not too sure who does. I can't quite remember. But we're holding on. We've got 40 seconds now with almost a K to go to Emmerich and Aloz. More and more confident we're going to make it to the finish, basically. We can almost see the finish as well, which is very nice. I'm pretty cooked at this point, 150 watts, and I'm sitting on 150 BPM, not good signs, but we did well. Like I said, it was 2.5 hours. I think my normalized power was around 300 watts from memory. I'm going to look that up quickly whilst we...
Right, we're under a K to go, so someone will have to go very long for them to catch us from here.
Whilst we hear from me. But yeah, it looks pretty
hurt
good.
him bad,
Looks like the Swedish guy got up. I'm gonna take a quick look. That's Sunday. There we go. Yeah, but it looks like we're holding on. Emmerich is doing pretty well behind though, only 13 seconds back from us. In terms of stats as we finish off this race, I've just got them in front of me. 270 watts average. Normalized was 300. Max, again, I'm not much of a power rider, but 970. I burnt 2,400 calories. I reckon I probably put in about 800 calories from my bidon. Maybe that's an overstatement. But there you go. It was third place. Confirmation on the screen there. I accidentally clicked it away. But third place, the Swedish guy won. Nathan got second. Good ride to Nathan. He had
really hurt.
Yeah, he had a really big ride IRL that day as well. So chapeau to him. Good work. But thanks for joining, guys. Peace out.